Dear fellow coders, welcome to One Little Coder. In this Python tutorial, I'm going to teach you how to create a Reddit video downloader. So you would see a Reddit video. There is not a straightforward way for you to download it unless you use a third-party tool. What I'm going to show you in this video is how you can build a Python web application where you can just simply enter a URL and then you can download this video. So we're going to use Python and Streamlit for creating this web application, and we'll also see the deployment options that we have at the end of this video. So first of all, what we need to learn is we need to learn how to identify the place where this video is. Then we need to identify to get that video, and then finally download that video. This is how this video is going to look like. I'm going to show you every single step and I'm going to explain you every single line of the code. So if this is something interests you, let's get started. So first of all, Reddit video. For those who do not know Reddit is a very popular social network. I mean, a lot of people still use it. Even I use it sometimes. So you can go to Reddit and then find videos like this. But if you want to download video, you have to go online, look for a Reddit video downloader and then download it. But there are very certain simple steps that you can use to download a video, which is like without using an API, in fact. So what the first thing is, whenever you see a video URL with a Reddit video, so copy the URL, go to a new tab, paste the URL and remove the slash and then type JSON. And once you type JSON, now you would see a JSON's response of it. Now copy this entire thing, JSON response, and then go to a JSON parser. Okay, JSON parser. And let's see, let's paste this JSON parser. Once you click that, paste it, and after you paste it, you would see the JSON here. So what you see here is you've got a JSON file structured that looks like this. So first you've got multiple components. When you go inside the first component, and inside the first component you would see children, and inside children you would see data, and inside data you would see secure media, and inside secure media you can see the Reddit video fallback URL. So this URL, if you copy and then go to your browser and then paste it, you would actually see the same video that you saw there. There are multiple resolutions available there. For example, you can see multiple resolutions, but we are not going to deal with any of those things. We're going to simply look for the video and then download it. That's what we're going to build. So our objective is now do everything that we just discussed. How do we change the URL to JSON, extract the JSON, find the right video link, and then download this video link. So this is what we're going to build as a web application. So to quickly show you my code base, so my code base looks like this. So I've got a folder, and inside that I've got two files. So right now I've got one empty app.py file. Second, I've got a requirements.txt file. One thing that you need to keep in mind is if you're going to use a virtual environment, Python virtual environment, you don't have to manually create requirements.txt file like how I do. So I'm going to manually type the library names here, but if you're going to use a virtual environment, you don't have to do that. I'm not doing a virtual environment here because I don't want to add the complication of that. Not many people are comfortable with that. So that's why I'm just simply showing you a folder. Inside that there are two files, app.py, requirements.txt, and then we are going to learn how to create the Streamlit web application, the Reddit downloader that we wanted to download. So this is going to have multiple components. The front end component is going to collect input in the form of URL. So we need to have a text box, and then we need to show the video as well. So we need to have a video player or a video, and we need to have a text box. And in terms of backend, we just discussed what are the things that we are going to do. So first we are going to, let me zoom in. Last time a lot of people said that my dark theme was not good enough in watching videos. I made it light. So let me know your thoughts if this is more comfortable. And I hope this is big. So import Streamlit as st. So this is for app development. Okay. And then import request, and this is for HTTP, or I should simply say download JSON and MP4. And then finally import JSON for us to do JSON parsing. So we are going to use three libraries. Now out of these three libraries, you know that JSON comes by default with Python. So what we need to add in our requirements.txt is Streamlit and request library. So save this. So our requirements.txt at this point is kind of sorted. Next thing is, what do we want to show in our app application? So we want to show a title, and then the title should be, something like Reddit video downloader. If you want to add an emoticon, You can add an emoticon that looks something like this. So we have the title that says Reddit video downloader. And after we do that, now we need to say where do we collect the Reddit video from. Okay, so now we need a text box, right? Text area where people can add the input. So I'm going to call it a Reddit URL equals, and I'm going to collect it. So the label I want to give here is, let's see the parameters here once. Area, you can see label is there, then you give the value, then you set up other things like height and all those things. But what we care more about is the label. So the label part where we have to tell what is it. So this is the enter your Reddit URL. Okay, so after you ask people to enter your Reddit URL, one thing that you need to keep in mind is when people enter Reddit URL, there are two ways they might enter. One, they might enter with a slash. Second, they might enter without a slash, right? So one, they might enter with a slash. I don't know, I think you may not be able to see it when you are on the screen. So let me show you quickly what I'm saying. So if you're talking about a typical URL, right? So let's say some slash www domain name blah 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 slash. People can either enter like this or they might enter without this slash. But what our objective is, it should not be with any slash, and then we are going to put .json at the end, right? This is what we want to do. So that is our test case that we have to handle. So what we are going to handle is, we are going to say if the Reddit URL, okay, if the Reddit URL's last letter, so if the Reddit's URL's last letter, how do we identify last letter? It's quite simple. You just find the length of the Reddit URL, okay, URL, and you see what is there, right? So the last letter, like for example, if the Reddit URL is letters like 10 characters, then if you say Reddit URL of 10, that means it's going to give you the it's going to say that it exists, because the index would exceed because Python is a zero index language. So you basically need 10 minus 1, 9 for the last letter. So what I'm going to say is, if the Reddit URL length of the Reddit URL, the actual object, minus 1 equals to slash. If it is equals to slash, then do this. And what do you want to do? If it is equals to slash, then you need to make sure that you can add JSON. So for example, if we go here, when the slash is there, we have to remove the slash and then say JSON, right? Yeah, so you have to remove the slash and then say JSON there. So when the slash is there, we are going to say the Reddit URL, right? Sorry, the JSON URL, like the JSON URL is equal to Reddit URL, and we need to remove the slash, right? So when there is slash, we need to remove the slash, and the way we are going to remove the slash is, we are going to simply say, give me everything until this point. This is what we are going to say. Let's say, give me everything until this point, and then add .json to it plus .json to it. So which means we have everything other than slash, and then we are going to get .json. So that's what we are doing here. We are doing a slicing here, and then we are adding this. Else, if that is not the case, if the last one is not the slash, you can then say JSON URL equals just the Reddit URL without removing anything, just the Reddit URL plus .json. So let me again explain this part. This is quite important for us to what we are handling. So the URL might have slash at the end. People might put slash at the end of the URL. So we are trying to handle that case by saying, if the URL has slash at the end, then what you want to do is, you want to exclude that slash, right, and then add .json. If you do not have any slash, then your URL is fine. Then you basically add .json. So now what we are not validating here is, we are not checking whether it is actually from reddit.com, if the URL is right. We are not doing all those things. So if that is if it is a problem, then we need to handle with the response. But for now, we are just checking the slash part of the URL. Okay, so if we want to test it, we can add a print statement here and test it. But yeah, let's go on building it, and then we'll see. So right now we have the URL, the JSON URL. Now we need to extract or parse the JSON object file. First we need to get the JSON object, right? So we are going to say JSON content is equal to, or I should say JSON response, because we're going to just make a call, request dot get of JSON URL. Okay, so request dot get of JSON URL. So this is going to get the JSON object for us. And once we have the JSON object in place, now what do we need to do? We need to check whether what is the content, right? We need to check the content. But before we do that, let's make a validation here if the request that we made is correct or not. So if somebody has given a wrong URL, if the video or if the JSON object was not parsed, if any of those things are going to happen, so we need to now say if JSON response dot status code equals 200, if it's not equal to 200, maybe that's better. If it's not equal to 200, then we can say Streamlit write saying error detected, check the URL. Okay, we can say with a warning, maybe we can even say Streamlit warning, right? So we can say error detected, check the URL. So this is something we can say if the response is not equal to 200. If it is equal to 200, which means the response is successful. If it is not equal to 200, then the response is not successful. But if it is not the case, then else then we are going to say that we need to now extract the video URL. So from this JSON, we need to extract the video URL. And when we are talking about video URL, let's call it MP4 URL for now. And how are we going to extract it? When you go to this parser, you can see, so this is your entire JSON object, which we're going to get it by like this. So we have the JSON response, JSON response dot JSON. So will give us the JSON object as a JSON object. Now out of this, like I told you, we have like two items here, right? So we want the first one, so we want the 0th index. And once you go inside the 0th object, which is the first object, now you need to go inside data. So I'm going to go inside data, and inside data you need to go inside children. So inside data I'm going to go inside children, and inside children we need to go inside data again. So inside children I'm going to go inside data again, and inside data when you go down you can see that you need secure media. So now go to secure media, and inside secure media you need to go inside Reddit video. So you need to go inside Reddit video, and inside that you need to get the fallback URL. So at this point you have reached here. So to quickly say that, you know what we have done, we have gone to the JSON object like this, got to the first element, and inside that we went to data, then children, then from that we straight went inside our secure media, then Reddit video, and then we went to the fallback URL, and then we are trying to extract the fallback URL. So now we have got an MP4 URL. I think I tried to execute it by mistake. Never mind. So now we have got an MP4 URL. Okay, so this is what we have. So to test this application, what I want to do right now is I want to just st.write. I'm not going to extract the video for now. I'm going to just write saying MP4 URL. Once again, like I can still do this exercise, right? I can say if my I can check whether it has MP4 in the URL, but I'm not going to do the test cases. But if you're going to deploy this as a production application, those kind of test cases something you need to handle. For now, I'm going to simply say st.write, which is MP4 URL. Okay, so that seems to be reasonable. Let me save this for now, right? I can save this for now. I can fire up my terminal. I can shut down Python. I can fire up my terminal and then say Streamlit run app.py. Oops. Okay, there was a typo. Streamlit run app.py. After I do that, now I'm going to get the URL, right? We need to get the URL. Once we have the URL in place, let's see what happens. Where is the URL? Oh, we have an error. What's the error we have got? We have got an error that says string index out of range. The reason why it says string index out of range is because at this point we have not given any default URL, right? So if you go to our application, where is our application? I need the URL for the application. Let me get the URL for the application. And once we have this URL for the application, once you paste it, you don't have any URL by default. So you have this error that string index is out of range. You can understand why it is happening, because we have not given anything there. So for example, if I go paste this now, that error should disappear. So which means it's a test case that error detected, check the URL mp4. Wow, let's see if it's okay. Nothing is working out. mp4 URL is not defined. Okay, so we have got a lot of errors to debug. So the first thing that I'm going to do is close this, and the first thing that I'm going to see is I'm going to change this text area into text input. Probably that is better, so let me save it, rerun it. So now you can see a text input. That's fine. The next thing is, it says mp4 URL is not defined. Okay, it says mp4 URL is not defined because this is an else. So which means the JSON response status code is not equal to 200. So it has gone inside this. Let's quickly try to see what's happening with the JSON response. Print JSON response as well. So like let's print the response there. I think we should print it as part of Streamlit so that we can see. Rerun it, and then you see something. I'm going to paste this. Oops. I'm going to copy the URL. Right, I'm going to copy the URL, the Reddit URL, and come back and paste it and see what is it saying. It's saying response is 200. So which means the response is successful. We have successfully managed to get the response. Let's run it again, once again. Right, I can refresh this, run it once again. Response is 429. So what is happening right now is, when we try multiple times, it can detect that you're trying to build a service or a bot, and then you might be bringing down their service. A lot of things are there. So this is where it is important for us to add a user agent. So now a user agent is something that would tell a service that this call is being made from a particular, let's say, a browser or something like that. So now I don't want to I don't want that Reddit service to think that we are actually using some kind of weird service to extract information from that. What we can do is we can say this is coming from a Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so I'm going to go to Google and say request user agent Firefox. Once I do that, I'm going to get an option, most likely from Stack Overflow. Yeah, how to do headers for user agents. I'm going to just simply copy this, and then I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to add it to our request. So I'm going to first say this is my header, save it, and then come back here. When I'm making the request call .get, I'm going to say header equals headers. Headers. Okay, save it, come back here, and then rerun this. I think at least one problem is something that we should have solved. Now the second problem is we don't have a URL, right? When we don't put a URL, what do we show here? Then we cannot show anything. So now what we can do now is we can say we want to do all of this only after we have a URL, right? We can do that, or we can I think that's the easiest option. So we can say with Reddit URL we want to do, or I can simply say if Reddit URL is present, then do all of this inside that. Else we can say st.write error, st.error, that's better, st.error, saying enter the right URL. Save it, come back here, rerun it. I'm going to remove this for now. I'm going to refresh this application, and then you can see that it says enter the right URL, because we have not entered the URL. Now it's not showing any error because it's not having a URL, but what it's saying is that you need to enter the URL. I think maybe this is not a big warning message. Warning. Yeah, maybe this looks slightly dangerous. Maybe Yeah, enter the right URL. So now after I enter the right URL, let's say copy this URL and then come back to the web app, paste the URL, enter to apply. Now you can see that it is working. The response is 200. All these are fine. Now we have a new problem. So like all the problems that we faced until now is fine. Now we have a new problem that we need to solve. So until this part of the code, which is to get the JSON response, right? To get the JSON response, I think we are fine. But the place where we seem to have a problem is, why didn't we write the JSON response? Okay, maybe we wrote the JSON response. Let me comment it. Until this it's fine. I think within the else we have a problem, so which is extracting the URL, mp4 URL. And what is the error that we're getting? Type error, list indices must be integers or slices, not string. So looks like in one of these places where I was supposed to use 0, I used the string. So let's see what happens. So first, when we fold this is 0, this is correct. And when we go to children, I think within children, once you enter children, so until children is fine, but once you enter children, we have secure media. I think after secure media, you can see, can you see this? You have a curly brace, right? You have a curly brace, and I think I need to use 0 there. Let's see, let's write and then go back to the app and then say rerun this and then see if it works. Okay, once again it is not working. The reason why it is not working is something that we need to figure out. Let me check again. So I'll fall back to the same thing that we had. So we have data, we have children, we have data, children. Let's see. So we have data, we have children. Okay, so I got it. So we have data and we have children, and after the children, do you see there is a list? See, so we have data, we have children, and after that there are multiple elements. And I mean, there are not multiple, but you have to enter inside this. So that is a problem that we had. So we have to go data, children, then 0, then do this. Hopefully this time it works. Let me rerun this and then wait for this. Yes, we have successfully managed to get the URL, right? So yeah, first step is done. So the next thing that we need to do now is, instead of writing the URL, we are going to say, I don't want to write the URL, I want to download the video. So there are multiple ways to do it. You can find an HTML player and then try to put this mp4 URL in the HTML player and then let it play. That's one way. But what I'm going to do now is, I'm going to show you how to download this video and then embed it back in the Streamlit application, so that if anybody wants to right click and download and save it, they can still do it. So now we're going to write one more HTTP request, which is mp4 content is equal to request.get of mp4 underscore URL. Remember to add your headers equal to headers. So we are asking to get the mp4 URL, right? And the headers is the user agent where we have specified, and thus goes inside mp4 content, or I should say mp4 response. Maybe again we can handle a case saying mp4 response dot status code equals 200. If it's equal to 200, then we can say mp4 response dot content, right? That we can embed as part of a Streamlit video. Streamlit video is this, right? Or if it is else, then we can say a warning video download failed. Simply, for now let's leave it there. I'll let you explore further what you want to do. But yeah, if it is working fine, then we'll show the video. If it is not working fine, we'll show the download. So now save it, come back here, run it, and then see if it is going to actually show us the video embedding. So amazing, we have got the embedding. But did you realize that you had to wait a couple of seconds or for you to guess what's happening? We don't want that to happen. So what we want to do now is, we want to say, while you're going to do this get request, you want to say st.with st.spinner, and say, what is the message that you want to say? You want to say waiting to download the video. Okay, and then you can run this and you can move everything now within the if clause, sorry, the with clause. Save it, come back here, rerun it. Once it runs, you should see waiting to download the video, and then the video should pop up. So I think this is better, more intuitive, better user experience. So now we have got all these code, and one thing that you might ask me is how to download. You can either add a download button, or anybody can right click and save it. So maybe you can add a note below this video to say like if you want to say st.write, why am I clicking this, st.write, right click on the video and save to download the video, right click and save. I think that is fine. We have a message now, it should ideally pop in here, and I think, yeah, we are good. So if we've got a title, we have got a place where people can enter URL. Maybe we can add, enjoy your video. We can write enjoy your video here and say enjoy your video, and you can see when it is happening now, whether it will say enjoy your video. Okay, it says enjoy your video, and then it showed. So I think we are good at this point. Only one thing that I want to do is I want to test with a different URL. So I'm going to go back to data is beautiful and then see if I have a different video, just to make sure, like this is not a one-time trick. So let's say like this is historical population of US baby names. Copy the URL, come back here, paste it. Now I'm going to paste it without slash. Run it, waiting to download the video, enjoy. Okay, amazing. Right click, you can see save as, all the options you have. So successfully we have managed to build a Reddit video downloader. I might add one more emoticon here. I'm not sure why am I doing this, but yeah, so successfully we have managed to build the Reddit video downloader. So now we have everything in place. Our requirements.txt is fine. We have all the file, all the code structure good. I'm going to quickly give you a run through of what we have done. So we have imported all the libraries, we set the title, we specified the user agent for our get request, then we extracted, we got the Reddit URL from the user. Quickly I wanted to see if I put a different URL, let's say like I want to put this JSON URL, what happens? Enter. So it says it throws a connection error, right? Maybe this is an area that you can again improve. You can instead of what we are doing, you can actually show a good error message, handle exception to say that if it is not a Reddit URL, say you can say that this is an invalid Reddit URL, something like that. So that's something that you can take care of. Right now I'm not doing it. So next thing, after we enter the Reddit URL, I'm looking whether there is a slash at the end. Based on that, I'm adding JSON. From the JSON, I'm extracting the JSON, and after we extract the JSON, we are just checking whether the HTTP call that we made is successful or not successful. If it is not successful, we are going to say error detected, check the URL. If it is successful, we are going to parse the JSON and get the URL, the fallback URL that we have got for MP4, and then we are going to go inside a progress bar or spinner, and then we are going to say downloading the video, and then we actually download the video. The video that we downloaded, we are going to save it, like the same byte content, we are going to write it as a video file on Streamlit application, and then we're going to give an instruction. If nothing is working out, then we're going to say enter the right URL, save it, come back here, rerun it. It's going to show this error. So let me copy this URL, come back here, paste it, run it, and then see what happens. Okay, waiting to download the video, and it's still waiting to download the video. Is it going to download? Yes, it downloaded the video. And again, you should think that based on the size of the video, the duration of the video, the time it's going to take would be different. So that's something that for you to keep in mind. So now, thankfully, we have got all the code in place. We've managed to write the code without any problem. I mean, we had problems, but we fixed it. So this is something that I'm trying again, right? I usually write the code, explain you line by line, but here I wanted to code in front of you and then try out things. So let me know in the comment section if it is more helpful, or if it's creating more distraction for you. Like, do you want to learn something that is error free, or do you want to also see the errors and then see how I'm fixing it. Like, let me know in the comments, because I don't know which one is better. I usually like to see errors, but I've heard from a lot of people that they don't like to see errors. They want to go seamless. Just let me know, something new I'm trying. So now that we have the Reddit video downloader in place, what are we going to do? We're going to simply go to Hugging Face Spaces and then try to deploy this. As simple as that. Go to Hugging Face Spaces and click Spaces. Am I logged in? Yes, I'm almost logged in always these days with Spaces. Create a new space. What is the space name? Reddit video downloader. And what is the license? I want to give MIT license. Play with this. If you want Streamlit public, create the space. And after I do that, I'm going to go to the file section. Okay, or you know, the easiest option is I can click this and create the app.py file. I can copy entire thing, paste it here and commit it, and then I can create another file. Okay, I can go here again. I can create another file, which is go add file, create a new file, copy the requirements.txt, call it requirements.txt, and then paste the content. Streamlit is not required because Streamlit is usually available as part of Hugging Face Spaces. Commit the new file. It's still building. It'll take some time for it to build, but once it is done, we should be able to test. Oh, it's done. That's amazing. Now maybe, you know, like, we should try a totally different video. So do we have any other video that we have not tried? Let me quickly see. I think usually I waste time like this looking for something that, okay, there is this seems to be a nice video. So it's a volcano. That's amazing. I shouldn't say it's amazing, it's scary and amazing at the same time. So I'm going to paste the link here, click enter. Wow, that's really fast. But is it going to show the video? Yes, it did. I was not hopeful actually. I thought it's probably going to show error. Oh, it is from Tyler Morgan. Tyler is one of my favorite R programmers. The ray shader that he has got is super amazing. If you have never tried ray shader, you should definitely try ray shader. You can make really good 3D visualization using ray shader. Yeah, so I'm happy to try out this video. In fact, like, now right click, you can save the video. You're not saving the day, but at least you're saving the video. So successfully we have managed to build a Reddit video downloader in this Python tutorial using Streamlit, deployed it on Hugging Face Spaces completely for free. I would link this code and also this application in the YouTube description. Please check it out. If you have any comments, especially the new format that I've tried where I'm actually coding while I'm teaching, this is a new format. Let me know your thoughts about it. But otherwise, I hope you successfully managed to build a Reddit video downloader. If you want to add it to your resume, if you want to add it to your portfolio, feel free to do it. And I will see you in the next video. Until that, stay safe, take care of yourself. Happy coding.